Well, hello, everybody, and hello, Chad. How are you doing, Chad? How was your week?
Busy. I've been running to and from things so hard and so fast. I don't even know where I am right now.
Yeah, it's time of year.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just every year in December. That's the way it is.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that's kind of where I'm at. I for my week, it was just busy as the buzz right now, as far as getting things prepared for the holidays, all the holidays things going on, everything included in that. Are you doing any kind of well, I notice on social media you post the 12 days of Christmas stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about my Christmas Story Advent calendar?
Yes, I like this stuff.
Yes.
Like, I watch it, and I'm watching it on social media. I'm thinking, that's kind of cool about just something particular. Some people do elves on the shelves, or whatever.
My family gave me a Christmas Story Advent calendar for my birthday this year.
Very cool.
And so I've just been kind of letting people know what's been in those little packages. So I haven't done it yet for today. I've opened it. I just haven't done the social media post because this is like the first time I want to do a little research on something. But yeah, it's been fun.
Well, I'm following it, so at least you have a follower of one.
Yeah, and I got a couple family members who are interested because they gave the thing to me. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's just a little mini figurine from the Christmas Story movie every day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I wonder how many. It just made me wonder. I wonder how many different ones there are. You can do like the calendars that are just every year.
Well, there'll be 24 of them.
Yeah,
because it's an Advent calendar, right? So the last one will be Christmas Eve, and it's been fun to just see what pops up over time. There was no surprise that Ralphie would be on December 1st.
Yeah,
none. And there's no surprise that there was going to be a leg lamp in there somewhere. Which is like one of my favorite iconic things from that movie. Yeah. But it's just been fun to see what comes up every day.
Well, picking up on something that we talked about last week before we move too far into this week, I just have to get it out. Since we're in such a good spirit of cheer and all of that for the Christmas and everything, did you get out and see the Parade of Lights?
I most definitely did.
Yeah. I wonder how many people know that Newton does that how many people come from all around Newton to experience that?
I have no idea, but the streets were full. And I spent some time both during and immediately after the parade thinking about how the Newton Kansan could be involved in the parade without being in the parade.
Yeah.
I mean, because, quite honestly, there's just not very many of us in our office, right? So anytime you want to do something, I'm going to have to do it.
Yeah.
So I've got some ideas, and we'll see where that goes. So, you might want to start paying attention about November or so, what we're going to come up with to be involved with the Parade of Lights, but not be in the Parade of Lights, because it will be cool, and it will be something that everybody can participate in one way or another.
Yeah, so for anybody that was there, you had an opportunity to see Santa, right?
You bet.
You had an opportunity to go and see Santa as well here recently, correct? At the Rec Center was where it was?
YMCA.
The YMCA,
mm-hmm.
Okay.
YMCA
didn't make it to see
Santa
that.
night.
I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention. Would have been a great opportunity to see Santa then and there, but he's getting around, so I'm sure that you'll have other opportunities to see the big man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I actually had approached when I was wearing a full beard about maybe thinking about buying a Santa suit. I was like, I'm not going to bleach the beard for that.
Well, you don't want to be an impersonator of the real deal either, Chad, because then, that might fall of no Christmas presents down your chimney on Christmas Eve and Christmas,
Well, and if I were to do that, then I would no longer be able to do what I do when I see misbehaving kids in Walmart.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for years, especially when I see a mom that is just really struggling, and she's just like, somebody help me. You can tell that those people are there.
Yeah.
And when they get that look, and they're and I've done this at the courthouse too. I'll look at this child, and I'll say, hey, do you know who I am? I'm a member of Triple S. Santa's Secret Service. I'm always observing and I'm always filing reports. What is it I'm going to be calling in about you today? Time to start listening to your mama, son. So
Santa works effectively all December for me.
So
it does. They're still there. I had a little one who said there was a friend that might be trying to convince them that Santa Claus is not real. And I told him that you better stop with that bad juju on me in my house, because I don't want for Santa to not come to our door because you're saying what you're saying about Santa.
Yeah, well.
You better get right with Santa, because the elf on the shelf is paying attention to what you're doing.
I've never been a fan of Elf, but that's okay. Not the one on the shelf and not the Will Ferrell one either.
The things we do, Chad. Yeah. Love it. Okay, and another thing to be thankful for while we're at, all your goodness gracious got me all up in a frenzy. I'm sure you probably saw it, but I'm asking everyone, did you see the editorial by the mayor?
Yeah.
I mean, that was some... we had just got done talking about it, about all the things that we could be thankful for, really, that are happening just out of this world, out of this park. And then, to have the mayor lay it down like he did, and he laid it down when it's all right there in black and white. It's even more than what we were talking about. The impact is so much more of that.
And, they went even deeper with that in the annual report at the city commission meeting last night. And so, I'll be honest, my brain's pretty mushy. And these Wednesdays like this one, it usually is. And when I say that, it's, we had Board of Education on Monday night, and then I turn around and go to County Commission the next morning, and then I go to City Commission the Tuesday night. So it gets pretty wild, pretty frustrating in there. But they went into that during an annual report. So if you get a chance to watch the meeting on Facebook, that's definitely a must watch, because they recapped a lot of those successes that we've seen over the course of the last 12 months. And yes, it is impressive, and straight up, this time of year is also the time of year where I choose to, I create that top 10 list. And, what are the 10 biggest stories that occurred over the course of the last 12 months. And I'm telling you, this year, it is tougher than nails to whittle it down to 10.
Yeah.
Okay. I could do a top 10 and not highlight any of the controversies that we had this year.
Yeah.
I really could.
Yeah. The successes far outweighed the controversies for certain. I would agree on that.
I'm not going to give away any of the farm on this, but I'm going to tell you that there was a really brutal big controversy that didn't make the top 10 list, because there's just so many things that have occurred, and one of the things that Leroy didn't write, and I haven't written, is that some of these amazing things that have been happening in Newton, they are transformative.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this community is going to look so much different in about 3, 4, 5 years than it looks now, and it's for the good.
Yeah. Well, I have to say again, I went driving around a different way to get here than every other day, just so I could see some more of the construction that's going on. And literally all points in times across Newton right now, we're experiencing that. But will take me into something else. In the past in the program, we've talked about negativity and people and naysayers and stuff. And, there's always somebody, right? Mm-hmm. We're seeing all this growth, and it has to be apparent to anybody looking at what's going on right now that we are in a life-changing game right now. We are in a game changer situation, and it's just unfolding in front of ours. Kudos to the city. Kudos to the economic development team. Kudos to, the county. Everybody has to be a player on this. But I will say this. I did hear a snippet of somebody that, and I don't know if they just don't really know or whatever the case may be, but about the fact that Hillsborough, yes, is a success. They're coming to Newton, but we're giving them money for them to come. And it's not quite like that, but I mean, just I wanted to give you the opportunity to well, just fresh on here because there's probably not any way you can throw that in an article necessarily to talk about something you read on social media and address that. But what I'm a fan of this. What's your take on it as far as the city last night? Right, you had mentioned that they approved it. So what's your take on this? The city giving IRBs to not only Hillsborough Industries in particular, but also just government using them as a mechanism to have economic development within your local community.
Well, my first take is that before anybody complains, they need to do some research about what an IRB is and who actually pays for it. I mean, straight up. Okay? And if you are a caveman, I have great disdain for you. I'm just being honest. Okay? Caveman are the citizens against virtually everything. And there's a wonderful, wonderful summary of those folks in the book, 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. And it's in chapter 1. Okay? And it's very upfront. I have observed these people for a very, very, very long time. And not just in Newton. Okay? You heard me say on the program, I did this in Hillsborough. I did this in Washington County, Iowa. And in all of those places, they have the citizens against virtually everything. They're everywhere. So, but, first and foremost, come to an understanding of what an IRB is, what it does, and who ultimately pays for it. And at the end of the day, it is the company, and in this case, Hillsborough Industries, who ultimately pays for it. They pay for it out of their profit. That's just the way it is. That's the way it works. And you don't have to look very hard to find this out. You can, I think it's Investopedia has a multi-page explainer of IRBs. And, and speaking to Hillsborough Industries specifically, this company is everything we want. They are everything that any community wants. That's why this particular company, this process was extremely competitive. And there are other communities very close to ours that are really frustrated that they didn't land the deal. They wanted it bad. Just as much as we did, and just as much as personally I do. It's a big deal. It really, really is. So, but that's my deal. Learn what an IRB really is. The city's not paying that. Okay? Is there a tax abatement? Yes. Straight up, there's a tax abatement. Of all people to say it best, all of this, there is going to be indirect benefits, and that is the words of Randy Hague. When he was basically defending this whole concept at the county level, and the county being involved, and the county authorizing not only the development agreement, but being willing to consider investing about $125,000-150,000 in an intersection out there. His response was, we benefit, and the benefit is indirect.
But isn't there always somebody, we go back to the naysayer, but isn't there always somebody that says, well, we don't need to spend that $125,000 to do something different with the intersection. What we need to do is we need to have them pay for it. If they want a better intersection, then they need to. I mean, I know this is not how it works.
They're paying almost $11 million.
Agree, Chad.
I think asking for an investment of $125 to $150 from each of these two entities is chicken feed.
But that's how it most of the time is.
Yes.
It's usually a situation where it's entirely disproportionate to the amount that the company's willing to invest versus the requirement that they asked on a public level.
And one of the concepts that people need to start to come to grips with is this. Because where you're getting angry is your property taxes. That's where your concern is and your anger is. And your belief is that by giving this tax abatement to industry, that for some reason you are going to be paying higher property taxes. Here's the deal. Industry is not what generates the property taxes, in part because we do the abatements to get them here. What's really going to generate the property taxes are the homes that are built for the workers that are going to move here. That's where the property tax comes in. And because those homes will not be tax abated, the owners of those homes will be paying that property tax at 100% rate the day they move in.
Well, and collection of sales tax comes from that too.
Right.
Usage of facilities, which makes it worth
it's
more
just
dime for your dollar you're paying for usage of a facility. If you have overhead when it comes to things like the rec center,
to find a large employer that will just build and pay property tax that's a unicorn. That is what that is. They're not really out there.
Well, any community that's worth their salt, really, and wants to grow, is got to be and it has got to produce an environment that's conducive to growth. And if you don't have, that's what I mean. I'm agreeing with you on this one. If you don't have the money, of course, my MPA leads me to understand this is how government works. This is like how it works. You don't have it any other way.
We also have to remember that we are in this is a competition. There's only going to be one winner.
Yeah.
And so, I'll go back to, I think I talked a little bit about this a week ago. One of the communities that really wanted this was McPherson. They have their own electric company.
Yeah,
we don't
compete with that.
Yeah, compete with next to free electricity for a welding company.
Yeah,
I mean seriously, what is going to be one of their highest inputs other than humans and aluminum? They're going to be buying a lot of electricity, and so when you've got a community that's like, yeah, we'll do this for you, we'll take your electric bill away. Dude, how do you compete with that? Well, the only way to compete with that is to look at them and say, sure, we'll get rid of your taxes for 10 years, understanding that we're going to get that back somewhere else.
Yeah.
So there you have it. And I have been over the moon about Hillsborough for a really long time. I've been over the moon about GAF for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
These are companies that are bringing us some decent jobs. And straight up, Freddy's is not economic development.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? The bulk of the workers that are in Freddy's or your convenience store down the street, and you name one of those business, the bulk of those workers are barely above minimum wage. That ain't economic development. I'm sorry, that is not it. And that is not, and we have plenty of those jobs. We need jobs that pay a little more.
Yeah, skilled labor.
Yes.
Especially when we have the Brooks Trade Center to be able to fill
yes.
it. We want to keep people local. That's great on a regional level. We can, through Brooks Trade Center Welding Vocation Program, feed Harvey County all day.
Yep, well, and we're going to be able to feed electrical companies here pretty soon, and we're going to be able to. There's a new program that they're starting now, and it's out of pure demand because students are asking so much, and that's a certified medical aid.
Yeah.
Which is like a step above certified nurse's aid. And these are the people we need. These are the jobs we need. We absolutely need these.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and the medical field needs them. There ain't a place around here in our community that isn't hiring for a CNA or a CMA, period. I mean, they're everywhere. They have multiple openings. You can go to about anywhere in Newton that needs a CNA or a CMA position. We have a big community in regards to that, and they're needing, Chad.
Yes, they are.
I know you got some things on the agenda, but there's two more things that I would like to cover if possible. I was reading the paper here, the Kansan, and I noticed that they're getting ready to do a prairie planting planned for the Wetlands Park.
Right.
So this is on, I just wanted to get this out, December 14th, okay? at the newly opened Michael Rhodes Wetland Park. It's 1012 Southwest 14th Street. The time on that is at 3 p.m.
Yes.
They're going to be able to show up there, and then everybody participate in, well, this planting of the prairie, really.
Right.
I mean, just natural habitat for this fowl. And we were just talking about it last week. I saw it. I know you wrote about it. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that they're welcome to be able to show up to that. It's another community involvement, right? The city didn't have put much funds into it. It was a privately orchestrated thing. I mean, this is a win, another win, just a small little niche of a win in our community again. And then that leads me on to speaking of the city. I didn't get a chance to watch the city commission meeting last night, but from what I understand, it was very good. I mean, we said our farewells to former Mayor Clint McBroom. McBroom for the 150th anniversary of Newton.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet, but Clint kind of came to the realization that he was being called elsewhere and to do something different than be involved in local politics. And so that's what he's going to respond to. Yeah. He did a short video as a farewell, and yeah, he kind of went out the right way.
Very cool.
And one of the things he did last night that I think really kind of shows the kind of person he is, and by and large the kind of people that we've got on our commission is he made some apologies last night too. I mean, he was very direct in with at least one city staff member in just saying, "I'm not sure I treated you right," and so hats off to Clint.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're lucky to have him. I've gotten to know him over time. First initially ran against him. If you want to say ran against him, really, I think everybody's just vying to the community that they can do a good job and pick me. So it's not necessarily a challenging event, and I think that's why it's been so beneficial and I would say not easy, but probable that I would be able to continue to walk through relationships and time with these people and be able to be part of the process in that way and everything. But I just got to say it. Anybody that knows me knows that I've been fairly critical, Chad, of the city, right? I mean, I didn't think they were doing what they should have been doing, and that's why I stood up to run or whatever. And I ran again, okay, and been in part, participating in the process and everything. But we really are fortunate, very, very fortunate. Once again, taking it back to go from 2019 until today, where we're at today. And Clint was a part of that, he often jokes about it, but that he was, the mayor for the 150th year of Newton. I mean, you can't beat that. And, sometimes I think Clint was just here for that period of time because he is a huge fan of Newton and just was a big cheerleader for Newton. Really wanted to do everything he could to make Newton a better place. Got to do that. Man, I tell you what, government ain't easy and politics ain't easy. And it's not so much what people who are wanting to sign up to serve think about it and what they're doing, but how the nature of the beast usually is just one that consumes the good in people. It makes them not want to do it anymore. It makes them, not saying that's Clint's situation, but for a person that wants to, like he said in his own words, build relationship. I know he said that in the past. Like I said, I didn't see that. I'm gonna go home as soon as I'm done with this, and I'm gonna watch it. Where is it at, Chad? Where is it at? 15 minutes in, so right away.
Oh, it's pretty much right at the very beginning.
Okay.
Because the way the commission works, for this particular meeting, they have a sine die session, and that sine die session is basically approving the bills, and I mean it's appointing the new mayor, which is going to be Rod Cry.
Cool.
Right, so he was vice mayor, and Richard Stinnett will be our our new vice mayor for this year. That means he'll be mayor next year, because we got these traditions in place and they've served us well. And then they say goodbye to whoever's leaving, and it's at that point that Clint put together posted his video through the commission, and it was. Yeah, and it was a short meeting too. Yeah. So, if you go to the city's Facebook page, they stream the entire meeting. So, yeah.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it. Take the time to watch it, folks.
Just watch
it.
Watch the first 15 minutes. Yeah, that'll have what you're talking about in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on board. I'm going to do it. I already said I was. So, okay, what do you got for me, Chad? You got some Christmas specialty stuff, or what do you got? What do you got for me?
I don't know.
I know you came with guns prepared and ready to shoot.
So I will not be able to be at the prairie planting. Okay. And by the way, that's my picture right there.
Well, I didn't want to make I didn't Newton famous or anything, but right.
I got Brad over at the Arboretum to blame for that. So I mean, he was like, "Hey, I need a picture. Would you throw some seed?" And that was at the that was at the opening. I can't be there because Chisholm. Santa Fe. The Santa Fe Singers are going to be doing some Christmas caroling downtown.
Okay.
My son's a part of that group, so that's going to have to take precedence over throwing some seed myself. But
it works.
Yeah, I mean, and we're starting to wind down our holiday events, which is good because, man, if you try and go to all of them, you will never sit down in the month of December.
And we're running out of time. Christmas is quickly approaching.
Yeah.
So
yes, and the season of kindness will wrap up on the 24th, which was a project that I thought was uber cool.
Yeah.
And that's why it's ending up on the front page every single day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to ask about that.
Yeah.
It's I always look for what's happening or that section on the side of the paper that's just upcoming events and stuff, and I noticed it, and I thought, It's I really like what you're doing, Chad, with that. There's some other things that Kansans do.
Well, you got Andrea Breaker over at Community Creative to blame for the "'Tis the Season of Kindness" the whole thing. I mean, she and a friend came up with that idea, and they did all the image collateral. They did all the work, and then called me and said, "Look, this is something we're doing," and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to use this." So yeah. I have no problem giving the credit where the credit is due there.
Well, then sending a shout out to them then.
Yeah.
Yes. Creative Solutions worked with you before. Always good. Angela Breaker's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, she's one of Spark Plugs that does a lot of the marketing for the Sand Creek Summer Days. And so it's always nice. And she heard me say one time how much I love calendars. I do. I love calendars. I love publishing calendars. It's why, about last week in November or so, I started the holiday event calendar. And, unless we have something go on where there's not room, it's been in every print edition, and it's going to be there until, let me get my date.
Yeah.
Until about December 21st or so. That's kind of when the events tail out.
When you have a holiday events calendar there, I mean, what's coming up? What still can people in the community participate in if they haven't participated yet?
Sure. Well,
or if they have, but they got one more to do.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a small business pop-up shop out at the Sand Creek Event Center on the 16th. So it's a chance to do a little last-minute shopping. One thing that's super cool, and you're going to have to drive for this one, but that's okay, is the Night in the Barn that's going to be at Patchwork Farms. Now, if you don't recognize the name Patchwork Farms, you might recognize the names Papa's Pumpkin Patch.
I do.
Right? So that's where that's at. Papa's is no more, but Patchwork is in its place. And that's going to be on the 16th and the 17th, and my family went to it last year, really, truly enjoyed it. It's just a different kind of Christmas celebration, and it's quiet, and I love And of course, you got choir concerts, and the McPherson Community Brass Choir is going to be going on the 17th, and then you've got the middle school band and middle school orchestra. I mean, the list goes on.
I was going to say the orchestra stuff is getting ready.
The list absolutely goes on. So, and if you're looking for something for the fam, on December 19th, the Muppet Christmas Carol is going to be at Newton Public Library. So, I mean,
what day is that? Tell me that again.
December 19th.
Okay.
December 19th, 6:30 p.m.
Do that.
I'm not overly picky about what goes into that calendar. It's just, something that's sort of holiday. We'll throw it in there.
So if in the future, then even if they want something in there that you didn't mention, they can just send you an email at chad@thekansan.com.
News@thekansan.com.
News@thekansan.com.
That's the best. News@thekansan.com. It's the easiest one to remember.
Okay.
So, yep.
Yeah.
So,
Very good. Very good. So, speaking of local things and Christmassy things and everything, Chad, I got one for you. I want to throw this at you. Okay, I was thinking Christmassy, and we probably won't have another show before the end of the year, right? Or when we come back, so it's Christmassy break or whatever. And you mentioned earlier some of the little things that you like to do right now. You got something new for Christmas, but what's something like when you were a kid, or what did you like to do when you were a kid during Christmas time? What was like the Christmas time thing for you?
Oh, Lord.
Like, did you do a family thing? I mean, there's got to be something. I know I did in my family, right?
Well, it's gonna sound what's the word I'm looking for?
Old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Family tradition.
It was probably just the celebration of Christmas when I was growing up was kind of as follows. We'd go to Christmas Eve service. After Christmas Eve, we'd go down to my, paternal grandmother's house. And we'd have soup, always oyster stew, would always be on the menu. And we got to stay up late, and maybe or maybe not open up a few gifts at Grandma's house. And then a lot of years, the next day, at Christmas Day, we went to the maternal grandma's house. And that's the side of the family where there were 14 cousins, lots of aunts and uncles. It was always we filled that house. And that was awesome. And, I truly miss most of those people. We're all scattered to the four winds. We're all over the place. We're in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana. There's still some in Iowa. There's Arkansas, and I think I've even lost track of where all. So that's not going to happen again. But that was Christmas for me growing up.
It's the family deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's I would echo that. I would say when I have the feeling of Christmas spirit or whatever, and my sight, sounds, and senses come back to me, and it's Christmas time or whatever, it always stems back to time in relationship with family.
Yep.
It was always right. There was food was related, right? Your traditional Christmas food, right? And then it was more of just spending time with family. And back in the day. Chad, you were back in the day too, right? I mean, there was no running off to the side and playing video games. There was no video games, right? So it was.
I was alive for the invention of Atari.
Yeah. So it was So it was like board games and stuff,
right.
Or I was joking with somebody. I said, we always used to make ornaments, make little ornaments and stuff. What did you make ornaments out of? Well, popcorn and fishing line. Have you ever done that? Or thread or whatever it is? It's like thread or whatever. Yeah. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy. It's like, wow, man, I guess maybe I grew up in a different time or something.
Well, and the difficulty that we had when I was growing up, my dad was a milkman. And so he had to work. So, if the Christmas was going to be over at Grandma's house, that meant him getting up at 3 and going and doing his job and hoping that everybody was done and in the barn before he got there. So, a lot of those things that people remember from Christmas, that wasn't in the cards for us. Dad had to work. I'm in that now. You know, I don't have Christmas off. Now I'm gonna probably have it off from my job at the Kansan this year, but I will not have it off from community corrections. Still gonna be on call.
Well, and sadly, that's usually the holiday times is when people have some stresses put on them from all kinds of things and everything and whatnot. So the good feeling of holidays is, comes that way. But okay, so what's something that what's something that made it that stood the test of time, Chad? What's something that you do with your kids today and your family today, now that you're the patriarch, right? That you did when you were not the patriarch of your family?
Wow. I don't know that there really is anything. Christmas Eve service, maybe.
Yeah.
Kids are all going to be involved, or at least I think they are. So that might be it. But our traditions are a little different. We try and have a soup supper after Christmas Eve. But we celebrate by having brunch with our neighbors on Christmas Day. And that started pretty much when our neighbors moved in. And hey, I'm good with it. I think we need to keep doing it. It's great. I love it. And the other thing that we make sure that happens every year, as long as TBS continues to do it, Christmas Story Marathon.
Absolutely.
I mean, that sucker's on for 24 hours, and we have it on for probably 12. So, yes.
Who doesn't like a Christmas Story?
Yeah. Well, drink more Ovaltine. Son of a commercial? A crummy commercial? How can you not love it?
It's a good one. It's a good
So
one.
that movie is why there is Ovaltine in my house. So
yes.
there you go.
Yes. What was it? Okay, so I was going to say for me, it's almost like I'm getting, and then of course my family can tell you this year for certain, and last year, I'm getting more demanding that I want for this tradition to be carried on. And, it's been this way pretty consistently. We've done a good job over all the course of time of just coming together as a family. It's not always been on the date, right? But we've definitely made sure that as a family we celebrate together. And it's getting to the point where, well, somebody needs to pick this up, right? And start having it somewhere else. And I'm like, well, that's going to be at my place. You're going to do it at my place, everybody. I'm volunteering, so I'm going to make sure it's going to go to my place, right? So that's like my thing. I'd say the one thing that for me, that just I don't want to change. I just don't want to change it. Is that we all get together and break bread together as a family and enjoy each other's company and time. And usually it's during those times when everybody comes together as a whole family, that it's not all about the presents and the giving and everything. It's just about the fellowship and the time. And that's the most important thing to me.
We'll do Christmas at my mom and dad's house. All the cousins will most likely be there, but our season of gift giving, as it were, has pretty much come to a close. Just the ages of the grandkids and the fact that, it's going to be the same kids doing the same thing over and over again. So we're moving on from some of that. But, the cool thing about it is how willing our entire family is to try different and new things. So my sister decided this year that we're going to have a Mexican Christmas. I can't wait. That said, this demand is still there that I have to make my Christmas summer sausage. So I got to get to work here in the next few days to get that done.
So I guess I'll ask the audience, for those of you listening, what was something that you really enjoyed doing when you were a kid? Or when you were in your younger stage as a family, when you were on the kid side of it? And then Is there something today that you brought forward? Maybe it's a dish or something that you eat or some activity that you do. Maybe it's Elf on the Shelf. Maybe it's whatever. What has stood the test of time in your family? Feel free to comment or whatever. It's a good time of year where people should, in my opinion, just be thankful for what they have. We all have our contentions throughout the year, and there's so much that we could talk about, Chad. We could throw negative stuff out there today, but we're not going to do that, right? Because, well, now, in my opinion, is the time for rejuvenation. Spending time with family, cutting everybody a little bit of slack, if you want to look at it like that.
Take a breath, enjoy life for a few days, right?
like really,
Yeah.
What are we here
I
for?
Hear you. I hear you.
Put it to rest and just enjoy.
I hear you. So, and plus, so many of the headlines coming out right now are just, they're good. I mean, there's just no two ways around it. They're good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And there's still people that are upset. For example, there's still people upset that the county's spending a bunch of money out at West Park on a shower house. Well, guess what? The county just got a variance to save some money on the project, and they were able to order the building, and the project is able to start moving forward. And it's not going to be done for them, but those Boy Scouts are going to be showing up in January. And I mean, so even the sort of sticky wickets, you can just kind of turn that and be like, hey, here's the cool part. So,
yeah. Well, 90% of that, I believe, is manufactured anyway. We'll get into that after next year.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
But I do. I think there's a trend that's taking place, and I think the cave people that you're talking about from that book that you're reading about, really, honestly, we have some of the same issues happening here, especially at the county level.
Yeah, well, and we'll have it everywhere. I just can't stress that enough. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
and some communities pay a pretty heavy price for bowing down to those, and others don't. And that's the rub, right? So we have to make a decision of which community do we want to be. Do we want to pay that price, or do we want to move forward and not pay that price? I think it's pretty clear where I stand.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I mean, so goes the head, so goes the body. That's all I'll say. So as long as we continue to move in the right direction, we'll see everything else improving because of it, Chad.
Yeah.
So, well, do you have anything that you'd like to tell the audience, Chad, this week?
Sure. I'm going to highlight a story coming up on Saturday.
Okay.
This whole thing came together over the course of about an hour and a half this morning. So, by the way, apologies that I wasn't able to be here at 10 o'clock, but I had something else I was working on. So
we make the rules, Chad.
So I'm gonna read you the first about 2 paragraphs here, and see if we hook you or not. Marjorie Franzen, who is 99, has been hanging on to something special for a very long time, and it's something that she has finally decided to part with. It's a small book that was published in 1951, diary kept by Noah H. Leatherman while in camp during World War I. On December 13th, she donated the book to the Mennonite Library and Archives at Bethel College. It's pretty interesting stuff. And without going into a ton of detail, Mr. Leatherman was a Holdeman Mennonite who lived between Mound Ridge and Hillsboro and was drafted into the service in, I believe, 1917. And being a Holdeman Mennonite in 1917 means that he didn't necessarily feel like it was right for him to go fight a war. And the way those guys were treated during World War I was pretty rough. So there's some details about that in that book, obviously, and some details in this story. How she came to be in possession of said book. There is a kind of family connection there. So, yeah, interesting stuff. That's what's coming Saturday, and I hope that people will enjoy reading it.
Yeah. Well, I do. I mean, you know I'm a fan of the Kansan, and you know why I'm a fan of the Kansan. I was going to say earlier that maybe one of the reasons why there's not a whole lot of negative headlines has something to do with somebody just, I don't know, the other paper seems to be going out of their way to try to create and manufacture things that don't exist for clickbait.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
You didn't say it, I said it, but that's what I'm starting to just really hone in on is, well, for some reason, negative news must need to sell. And if there's nothing going on, then we're just going to make it appear as though there's something going on. I've got some investigative stuff coming on that Sissy's looking up.
Sure.
We're gonna get into all the people that were donating, who, what, when, where, how, and why this last election cycle. We're gonna do a deep dive on that one.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when this is gonna sound really weird for a journalist to say, okay? At the end of the day, when we start digging into local politics, I'm at that point where I just don't care who donated. I don't.
Come on, Chad, you're bursting my bubble, man.
I don't care.
I want to know who RV County for a Fair Change is.
That those folks that got elected are going to be sitting right front and center of me every other week. And my job is to watch them. And my job is to tell people what they're doing when they're in those seats. And there you go. So, the whole who donated, I kind of decided a long time ago I didn't really give a rat a whole lot. Now, that said, if there's something truly scandalous, then yes, you bet. But years and years and years of looking at those things and not finding anything that I thought was just stupid and out of line. We did have one situation that occurred, and it was, I don't remember what year it was, but it was during the whole debate that was going on in our community about smoking, and there was discussion of banning smoking in public places and within 20 feet of a door and all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And, we had somebody walk in and take out a political ad, paid for cash, and did not leave their real name. And, it was kind of one of those watershed moments for me, because I've got people calling that are madder than a hornet about what they had seen in the ad that was taken out. And again, I mean, that has nothing to do with me, folks. I'm sorry.
You pay for an ad.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
And every newspaper in the country, it's a freaking business, and if we're not making money, we can't exist. Period.
Yeah.
I don't work for free. My kids don't eat for free. So somebody walked in and bought an ad.
Yeah. That's what the paper's there for. Exactly.
We have two customer bases. Two. We're a very unique business. We have two customer bases. One is the people who pay to subscribe and read it, and the other is the people who pay for the ads. So we have two different customer bases that we are serving. So customer base 1 was upset about what customer base 2 did. And at the end of the day, the way they handled it all, there was really no figuring out who in the world had just done what they had done.
Well, I just don't understand, too. I'll just throw this at you. Why is it that a person seems to think that, well, if there's an advertisement in your paper, you're responsible for that?
It's on my page.
That's right. It's like, no, the person
it's
who
on the
paid
page
for
with
the
my name.
advertisement is responsible for that.
But it's on the page with my name, and it's on the page with the Kansan's name. And there is advertising that we do not accept, and we're not allowed to. I mean, that's the reality.
What is that, Chad, so I know?
If you try something, I'll let you know.
Well, it could get dicey.
So, but, at the end of the day, their business, and that is every publication. It's a business. Even the ones that say they're nonprofits, that's a new phenomena over the last few years. But even a nonprofit, the people that are working in there, they got to eat, and they're getting paid.
Yeah.
And support them or not, but that's the reality of life.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, do you remember Barb Burns?
Barbara Burns?
Yes, Barbara Burns.
I believe that I do.
So she and I would have this kind of a conversation a couple times a year, and every single time she would look at me and say, "Why do we all forget that? Why do we all forget that?" And I said, "Because we don't tell you. We don't tell that story. You know, I'm sure that there are somewhere out there are journalists who would really frown on me being in a photo that's on the front page of my own paper. Dude, I didn't take it. All right? I just didn't. And I didn't identify myself.
Yeah.
But it's there. So, you know, you can see my short, fat, bearded face. I'm sorry. But we refuse to tell our own story, you know, and we refuse to market ourselves. Yeah. We just absolutely refuse to do it. And it's everything from the ridiculously overworked, severely understaffed groups who are just saying, I can't do any more. I can't do any more. I'm already doing more than I'm paid for. These are things that I have said. I'm already doing more than I'm paid to do. I do that every day. So you want me to commit to not only cooking 8 gallons of chili and paying out of my own pocket for the 8 gallons of chili, and then set up the booth and spend my entire day there serving the chili at an event that I really should be working with a camera and a pen. I'm sorry, I can't do it. And these are real conversations. Yes. These are real statements. I'm sorry, I can't do it. It's not I won't. It's that I can't. And so, you know, when I made comments about the Parade of Lights, I was like, how do we be involved without being in? That's the conversations we have to have. And after I had that conversation with myself, the internal conversations we're having now is, but this means I'm going to have to do this, and I'm going to have to work this, and I don't know if I can. Folks, I get it. I get it. You know, we've been for years going to war with half the troops. And there comes a time that the troops are weary. And that's where we're at.
No, that's just not the Kansan either. That's
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Well, because things are changing. You know, it's like different modes and mediums are changing and how people consume their information. Papers are traditional. I still get the paper.
Sure.
I'm sure people my age get the paper. Do younger people get the paper? My son's not knocking down no door to go grab a Kansan. You know what I mean?
Well, but here's the deal. One of the things we haven't done, and by the way, I in a telephone conversation with you referenced this. I didn't tell you at the time. But one of the things that we're going to start doing at the first of the year is we're going to start asking people why they're not willing to pay for it. What is it we're not doing? What is it that we can entice you to pay for? I suspect the answer is nothing. I suspect that people just aren't willing. Okay? And you can list out the reasons. Everybody's tapped out. We're all tapped out. For crying out loud, after the last few years of inflation, if you've got money, I want to know what you're doing different. You know, but you know, we're all going to the grocery store and we're all feeling it, and everybody's just tapped out. So something like news, I don't see people really that willing to pay for it. And then you've got the way that this entire industry has conditioned people over the last 40 years. Okay? And we have conditioned people to expect it free if it's online. The worst thing you can do is put up a paywall. I hear more complaints about paywall than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay? I can't read it for free, so I can't read it. No, you can read it. You can pay 99 cents and you can read it. My kids will thank you. So, but we are going to begin next year asking those kinds of questions. We're going to be asking people, how do we better serve our community? And for a lot of years, and this is a statement that's specific to the Kansan. We didn't have to ask. We were the only game in town. If you weren't getting it from us, you weren't getting it from anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the deal. And, the same can be said of McPherson. The same can be said of, I'm trying to think of a couple other communities where something else has happened into the market, right? You could have said that many, many, many moons ago about the Wichita Eagle. There wasn't anybody else. There was nothing. Okay? In markets like mine, I know you're not getting what you need from TV, even though you think you are. What you're getting is parachute journalism. And I was doing a little research on something today, and I found a story that was done by someone in Wichita about something that was going on locally. And the historical dates that they had for this were so far off and just flat out wrong. Just wrong. And I sat there and I looked at it and I went, yet people go to them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that you're referencing wasn't even constructed yet.
And I'll throw this down to you. We talk about mediums and whatnot. Mediums are different. People like to consume. We're still learning how people like to consume their information. If they want to consume it on a tablet, a phone, electronically, digitally, whatever. But the consumption of that information doesn't necessarily change as long as you meet the demand of that, right? So if you want to read the Kansan and you want to read the Kansan, but you want to consume it on your computer at home, that's one thing. If you want to do it like I do, which is like a paper, smell it, feel it, touch it, have it, the whole deal, then you can do it that way. But I do know this. Statistically, trends are changing to be more local.
Right.
People want to hear more local information. They want to be able to be in tap with what's going on with them locally. Less and less people are watching one of the trifecta Wichita news stations for their information because, well, it doesn't really talk too much about Newton. And so then as we become more Newton-centric, more Harvey County-centric, there's not a lot of opportunity out there to be able to consume information that's local, that's accurate about your community, other than the Kansan.
Right. So here's the deal.
At least credible, anyway.
And
not a half-lit article.
Well, I'm not gonna throw arrows at anybody.
I'm just saying.
I'm not doing that.
But that's my job.
But this is the statement I am gonna make. If you want to read about the Newton City Commission, and this is a statement that I have made for years. If you want to know what's going on at the Newton City Commission, that is going to come from a newspaper. Period. That's where it's going to come from. Okay? Take it from the people who are in those rooms. Because TV ain't there. Radio's not there. Internet-only websites, not there. Who's there? The newspapers. That's who's there. And so when you Google something and you're like, you know what? Did anybody write about this stupid water rate increase again? When you Google it and you find it, where's that coming from?
Well, it's coming from local.
It's coming from the newspapers.
That's correct.
You can say all day long and you can talk all day long about how I get my news from my phone. if you're getting the news from Newton, you're getting it from a newspaper.
Yeah, it might be on that platform.
Okay? Where I come and get so frustrated is this. Because you're doing it on your phone, because you're doing it on your computer, you now expect that for free. I ask over and over and over again, does McDonald's give you your drive-thru for free? Because they don't have to open up their lobby for you, and they don't have to pay to heat the place for you. Is that Big Mac for free? Because you're going through the drive-thru? No. And if you want to do it DoorDash, which is, let's do it online, you pay extra.
Premium.
Trust me, I know. I've got DoorDash on my phone. I haven't done any deliveries yet, but it's there. I was thinking about writing a story about, the experience of what it's like to be a dasher in Newton, Kansas. So, and let me tell you, my experience thus far, yeah, I get it. I get it that we don't have money, but I'm just saying, halftime of the Chiefs game, I'm not really going to be overly excited about spending most of my afternoon running around town for $2.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, seriously, folks, you got to put a tip on there because that person is performing a service for you. And I'm not talking just for me. I'm talking about, anybody who's got that app. And there, we didn't report on it per se, but I have taken the phone calls about it. That company has now gone to a system where the dashers or the drivers, they can start refusing call outs if there's no tip included. And I'm telling you, that's going to hurt this town because, and this is just my experience over the course of about a week and a half, man, you got to put something on there. Something.
You do DoorDash.
When downloaded the app. I've signed up
to do it.
And I've done that primarily just to monitor, just to when is the busy time, and what restaurants seem to get the most, and which ones lead to the biggest tips for the drivers. Those are the things that I'm interested in. Okay? So like I said, I haven't gone out and driven yet.
Yeah, right.
But I'm able to see all that stuff when it's popping up.
Well, see, there was Uber here for a while. There was there is Uber and say Uber here, whatever. But there were people that had signed up. I know one person that had signed up to do Uber, and nobody does Uber. Is it? You think it's similar? Like people are just not willing to pay for that service. They'd like to have that service. It sounds good. They want it there when they want it there, but they're not willing to make sure that the Uber driver is around after they're done with their ride.
Well, and I talked to a couple people who were doing that back when it was actually being done. And one of the things that was difficult for them is the hours of demand and a lack of, right? I mean, we're a town of 20,000 people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we are. And, I was talking to a bar owner one day about Uber, and she was very frustrated that it was never available at close time for the bar. Well, there's a reason it wasn't available. Put yourself in the shoes of the driver. Do you want to go trucking somewhere in town at 2:00 in the morning
for somebody is too intoxicated to drive?
Yes, and man, at the end of the day, when you got kids, you have to really question what situations you're going to put yourself into.
But what do you say to the person that says you put yourself in that situation, you signed up for the job, getting a tip wasn't part of the deal, and if you wanted to be available for the ride at 2:00 in the morning, that's when the ride's available, and I wouldn't be asking for one if I wasn't intoxicated.
The deal
playing
is,
devil's advocate, just playing devil's advocate, Chad. Like I asked that. It's the first thing that I have is like I do ask that question. It's like, well, if you sign up to work for a wage, and you get X amount of dollars for doing this, like they get a fee, right? Because
So
I tip. I'm just going to say you're not going to catch me in a
this
situation
is how
where I'm
it
not
works.
tipping. I just don't use that service necessarily.
Right.
I do a lot of going to Dillon's and picking stuff up. Right. They do my shopping for me. There's no fee associated with that. They probably save money by the time it's all said and done.
So this,
with that.
Just remember, all of these are they're side hustles.
Yeah.
That's what they are. And I also, because I was curious, downloaded Instacart, and they all work the same, man.
And that's where you just tell somebody you want to buy some from like wherever, Walmart or wherever, and then they just like deliver it to your house.
Straight up, I live like a block from Dillon's, man. So if I'm going to actually do a side hustle, I'm probably going to do Instacart because I live a block from Dillon's, and it's no big deal when it pings for me to walk or drive a block to the store.
Yeah.
Grab whatever it is you think you need and head to your house. That is no big deal.
Yeah.
Okay? But all of them work the same. And here's what happens. You, as the driver, have a lot of control. You get to decide when you're going to work and when you're not. If I don't want to work at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't have to. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And when it dings, it tells you what you're going to get paid. Tip included.
So you don't have to pick it up. If you look at it, you're like, oh, this person doesn't want to give me a tip, then I don't have to do that.
It has a timer on it. And if you want it, you gotta ask for it. And if you don't get it done within the time allotted, it goes to somebody else.
Okay. Oh. So it almost like delegates it. That program kind of delegates it to people.
You bet.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, hey.
it's not.
They might as well
It
do
doesn't
that.
ding and say
Yeah.
you have to be here. It says here's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Do you want it?
Yeah.
And you decide whether you want it or not.
And see, I'm about the free market deal there. Like I am. It's like I'm not against the person that's saying, "Hey, I'm not going to do it for you unless you give me some kind of tip." That's fine. I'm not. You can't accost me once you show up to my house. Or anything.
No, but
I'll
you
tell
know, so
if that's what you want, and I'm willing to pay that, is it worth that to me? Is an extra $5 worth not going to the Dillons? It's almost like a good price negotiation. I'm not against
so
it.
you as a driver,
yeah,
are going to be looking at this assignment, and you can ask yourself, is it worth my time?
yeah.
Is it worth my time? Okay. Now, there's also regions, right? So because of the way the maps work, it can ding and it might tell you that somebody from Heston wants a pizza from Newton. Great. Wonderful. That's awesome. But
by the time you drive the 14, 20 miles or whatever you got to get,
that's more time spent on the job.
yeah.
So you as an individual can take a look at that and say, is this worth my time? Is this worth my time? And if the answer is no, somebody else can take it.
Yeah. Huh?
And some of these apps are so busy with people that want to do it. You know, because I serve and the things that I do, what works best for me, if I were going to actually be driving, what would work best for me is to be able to pull the app up and just watch it. And that's called Dash Now. Or in Instacart world, that's called Go Now, right? Okay. I mean, you have 30 seconds to decide and you go. But they're so busy that you have to schedule your times.
Yeah.
And there are lots of times that are just flat out unavailable because they've got enough people that are on the schedule. And
who would have thought that would have been such a profitable industry, given that we used to have Gophers here in town, and not it wasn't profitable necessarily, I think there was just a couple things that happened with that situation. Maybe they did fine. They got it for everything that they could get it for, and then they retired. I don't remember. I want to say because they actually lived in the same housing development as my folks, but I think they're just retired more than anything.
Right. Well, and we don't have O2 cab anymore either.
Yeah.
I mean, there's these things that we've had and that we don't have, and there's a zillion reasons why they don't.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, yes, it can be very profitable, and understand that profit is going everywhere. The driver, he's at the end of the line.
Yeah.
Okay? The fees that you're paying for DoorDash, the driver's actually at the end of the line. He don't get all of it. Period. And I mean, it's true for all of them. The driver's at the end of the line of the money making, so to speak, right?
Everybody gets their share and they get what's left over. Yeah, that's typical. But they get their tip.
But and they know before they accept a job how much it's going to be. Okay?
Yeah.
So when it pops up that somebody is needing a prescription from Walgreens, it tells you you're going to drive a round trip. You're going to drive about 4 miles, and this particular job is going to get you $5. And so you're just like, okay. Well, is it worth it to miss the last minute and a half of the Chiefs game? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's worth it.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that as we continue down this path, I definitely am beginning to utilize those services more often.
Right. But
primarily
the
for
whole
the convenience, really.
The whole point that I was setting out to make was that's not free. And the delivery process that you are using is different than the traditional model. Okay? Walgreens is not going to give you the prescription for free. And if you want it, you have to drive there to get it. You can drive through. You can DoorDash it. It doesn't matter. And if you're DoorDashing it, that's the equivalent of them that's the equivalent of their e-edition of the Newton Kansan.
You know what would solve all these problems,
But
Chad?
you pay more for that.
I know it would solve all these problems. We just need drones and AI technology to deliver it for us. You
Be
can't
careful
tell
what
me
you wish for.
that a drone cannot fly its way into a drive-thru, pick up my prescription, and then fly it to my front door.
Be careful what you wish for.
It's coming sooner than you think, people.
So, you think Andy Harder will fly a drone for you and test it out
for some compensation and tip? I'm sure. Pretty soon they'll just be programmed.
Because he's pretty good at those drones, man.
I know. I tell kids you need to go take the class that he offers when he offers it at the high school. Because, believe it or not, that's one of them things. It's almost as though when I was a kid, somebody said, "Here." And I know it's way more serious than this, Sandy. So if you're listening right now, don't think that I'm just, making light of the technical aspect and situation of being able to accomplish that and what you do and teach. But, yeah, I mean, if they said, here's a class on a video game, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, video games are kind of new. I mean, really. And you're telling me, no. One of these days, this is going to be everywhere. So if you start learning how to work this now and you start training on this now and you follow this through, that as technology advances, you'll have a very good understanding. You'll be able to really, be able to be beneficial when it comes to doing anything, when it comes to winning, change, whatever, fill in the blank. So it's not that you're playing a video game, but I guarantee you drone technology is going to be something that is growing extremely fast over the next decade. And if you're somebody that gets some certifications or some training when it comes to just at your high school, who knows what that doors that might open you might be knowing how to do it when nobody else knows how to do it. So on that note, with drones and more drones and AI, Chad, we're coming to the end of the program, my man. And, well, like I said, we probably won't see anybody until after the first of the year. So do you have any words of wisdom for anybody? You get to speak directly to the hearts and minds of everybody listening. And remember, this is the last time you're probably going to get to say anything for everybody before the first of the year's up.
I would just say slow down, take a breath, and enjoy the holidays. This time of year is not only difficult for you as an adult, it is very difficult for your kids because they feel all that stress that you have. Every bit of it. And they don't understand it. And the worst case scenarios, they come see me in the basement of the law enforcement center. Yeah, it kind of happened today. I mean, that's just the way it is. So just take a breath, slow down, enjoy the holidays. And especially for those of us who are sitting here going, my gosh, what a great year we've had. Let's just be thankful and enjoy the fact that we are riding quite a wave. Yeah. And don't stress out that you can't get the latest and greatest and most expensive Christmas gift for somebody. At the end of the day, that don't matter. At the end of the day, it just don't matter. So, there you go. That's my thing. It's this time of year, and just enjoy it.
I concur.
Yeah.
I concur. Well, there you have it, folks, and thanks for listening to this episode of Harvey County Talk. I was your host, as always, Lance Gormley. Our guest on the program, well, basically my co-host now going forward, or host, or two hosts, or maybe we're hosting it together. We're keeping it together, though, aren't we?
We're going to do our best.
Happy New Year, everybody.